The sound of the doorbell unexpectedly broke the silence. Marzia hurried to open the door and was perplexed to find a package addressed to Ricardo, her missing husband. That mysterious package contained something she would never have imagined and would change her way of seeing things forever. Before we find out what's inside, let's take a step back. While you follow the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our future wonderful stories. It was a spring afternoon when Marzia and Ricardo moved into their new home. The neighborhood was quiet, the perfect place to start the life they had always dreamed of together. The property, with a large garden surrounded by trees, hid an old barn in the back. Richard, with a curious and dreamy look, saw extraordinary potential in that barn. "Imagine what we could do here," he said enthusiastically, indicating the neglected space. Marzia, on the other hand, was skeptical. "It's just an old storage room," she replied, looking at the mess with a raised eyebrow. Despite her doubts, she let herself be convinced by Ricardo's vision. While he worked on his secret project, investing time and energy, Marzia watched from afar, increasingly intrigued. "Why do you need all these tools?" Marzia asked, scanning the myriad of equipment that arrived regularly. Ricardo smiled, that smile she knew well. "You never know when you might need them," he replied, maintaining an air of mystery that left Marzia perplexed. Their life continued peacefully, despite the apparent secret that Ricardo kept. Marzia taught languages online, while Ricardo worked from home, dedicating his afternoons to his barn. Time seemed to fly in that refuge far from the chaos of the city, but one day, an unexpected event changed everything. It was a summer evening, and the tranquility was shattered by the glow of the flames. The house that had been their sanctuary for years was burning. An electrical fault had sparked a devastating fire. Marzia and Ricardo managed to save only a few precious objects before fleeing. For Marzia, the most painful loss was that of her grandmother's sideboard, filled with childhood memories and crystal goblets that seemed to shine like jewels in the sunlight. Each glass represented a special memory. She remembered Sundays spent in her grandmother's kitchen, with the smell of freshly baked bread filling the air. The glasses were used only for special occasions, and Marzia was always thrilled when she was allowed to choose one. Each choice was a treasure for her, a small fragment of joy and love that her grandmother had given her. After the fire, they decided to move, looking for a fresh start in a place that could offer peace and serenity. The new house was perfect, with a large garden and that old barn that Ricardo saw as a blank canvas ready to be transformed. The neighbors were friendly and welcoming, and often stopped to chat when Marzia and Ricardo walked their dog, a Labrador named Fido, who seemed to appreciate the new space more than anyone else. Ricardo was passionately dedicated to his project in the barn, and Marzia, though curious, respected his space. "Honey, you'll see, this place will become something special," she promised with determination. The days passed quickly, and Marzia couldn't help but wonder what was really happening in the barn. She often found him looking at old carpentry manuals and taking notes with an air of concentration. "Are you learning to build something?" she asked one day, hoping for a clearer answer. "Something very special," Ricardo replied, with an enigmatic smile that gave nothing away. The turning point came on a Friday afternoon, the day of their wedding anniversary. Ricardo had offered to prepare a special dinner and had asked Marzia to take care of the dessert. The anticipation of an intimate and happy evening filled the hearts of both. Marzia had spent the afternoon choosing the best ingredients for a chocolate cake. Ricardo's favorite. Ricardo left the office with an expectant smile, eager to get home. As he drove, the weather suddenly took a turn for the worse, and a pouring rain began to fall. The road became slippery, and Ricardo slowed, trying to maintain control. Lightning struck the sky, and Ricardo noticed how poor the visibility was. He struggled to concentrate, eager to get home to the woman he loved. If you are enjoying the video, I invite you to give it a precious like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Meanwhile, Marzia was preparing dessert, unaware of what was about to happen. Ricardo, focused on driving, did not see the vehicle that came towards him on the sharp curve. Marzia's world collapsed when she received the phone call that no one ever wanted to receive. An accident had taken the life of her beloved husband. The future they had imagined together vanished in an instant. The pain of the loss was unbearable. Marzia spent days wrapped in a silence that seemed to have no end, surrounded by friends and relatives who tried to comfort her. The sound of their voices mingled with the noise of her thoughts, a constant buzz that gave her no respite. After the painful funeral, Marzia returned to the house that now seemed so empty without him. The silence was oppressive, filled only by the weight of his absence. A few days later, the sound of the doorbell shook her from her thoughts. At the door, she found a box in Ricardo's name. Inside, carefully wrapped, were crystal glasses. Marzia was confused. Why would Ricardo make such a purchase before his death? The package, a mystery left by Ricardo, seemed to be a message for her. At that moment, her thoughts went back to the barn, that place that Ricardo had kept closed all that time. With her heart pounding, Marzia started towards the barn. The creaking doors opened onto a space that left her breathless. There was no mess or dirt, just an orderly and meticulously organized environment. On the shelves, neatly arranged tools and scattered projects. And at the back of the barn, Marzia saw something that left her in tears. A perfect replica of her grandmother's cupboard. Ricardo, who had never shown any interest in carpentry, had taught himself to build it for her. He had spent hours and hours in that barn, working with dedication to recreate that piece of history that the fire had destroyed. Every detail had been cared for with love, from the small carvings on the sides to the perfectly aligned shelves. Marzia approached, her fingers touching the smooth surface of the wood, feeling her heart fill with emotions. Tears of emotion streamed down her face as she absorbed the significance of Ricardo's gesture. He had done all this in secret, just to give her a gift that meant the world to her. The crystal goblets were there, ready to be used once again. That gesture of love and dedication was a legacy beyond words. Marzia understood that the belief was not just an object, but a symbol of their eternal love. Ricardo's legacy was greater than she could have ever imagined. Their story, marked by losses and surprises, was a testimony to the power of love. Now tell me, how would you react if you found out that someone had done such an incredible gesture for you? The story of Marzia and Ricardo teaches us that love is expressed in the most unexpected ways, and that gestures moved by love are those that leave an indelible mark on the heart. And you, what gesture of love will you remember forever?